Hey YouTube, welcome to Trevor's Vinyl World. When Pearl Jam came out with their album 10 in 1991, it exploded onto the scene. They became huge rock and roll stars almost overnight. And in a way, they kind of couldn't handle it. And I think when they made their sophomore album, this, which is Verses, they basically wanted to signify that they felt a little trapped and constrained, and that's why they have this goat on the cover. Again, this is their sophomore album, Verses. This is amazing. I believe their first two albums, 10 and Verses, are their two best albums, but they definitely have some other albums that are worth checking out as well. A lot of people also say that Vitology and No Code are near the top or at the top. But most people will say that 10 and Verses are their top two albums. But just an amazing band that's been around since the 90s. I can even remember, Eddie Vedder on that song Hunger Strike. When basically, you would hear that on the radio. And so he's just been around forever. And Pearl Jam just is one of those bands that I think I kind of took them for granted a little bit back in the day because I was such a Nirvana fan. And I think after Kurt's tragic death, I sort of wanted to take a break from the grunge. And then, years later, there's this amazing movie. I want to say it came out in 2007. It's called Into the Wild, and it's basically about this young man, Christopher McCandless, who goes and lives in Alaska out in the wilderness, and his family is worried sick, but he's just a person that wants to live on his own means and do what he wants to do, and he just always dreamed to do that. And the movie's amazing, and Eddie Vedder does the whole soundtrack to that. So I would definitely love to get that soundtrack someday. And then I know Eddie Vedder has some other solo albums as well. And the other Pearl Jam records that I would definitely like to get are No Code, and then there's one that's called like the Avocado record. But basically, whenever I'm at a record store or, I like to try to find affordable used records. So I also hit up garage sales and places like that. And but this is one of those bands that I feel I sort of neglected them years ago, and now I'm trying to get a little collection going of Pearl Jam. And but definitely you can't go wrong with their first two records. It is kind of funny that if you look up on YouTube, Bill Burr, 90s music, he has a video where he's complaining about Eddie Vedder, and it's kind of funny. Eddie Vedder, he kind of makes me think of what was it on Saturday Night Live where they have Goat Man, where he makes kind of that and or like there's times where Alanis Morissette is kind of in a trance, and I feel like Eddie Vedder does that as well. So I can see where some people kind of make fun of Eddie Vedder at times, but at the same time, like just a classic band. And sometimes bands have sort of a plastic or a generic sound, and Pearl Jam is just always so like authentic. And the topics of some of their music, I mean, they're definitely one of those bands that maybe you can't listen to them all the time just because it's such heavy stuff. When I was younger, I never really thought about some of the lyrics. And now that I'm older and you listen to a song like Daughter, and it's basically about this girl that she has a learning disability and she wants to make her mother proud. But, you know, it's kind of like one of those things where someone's trying to teach you something and you're just not getting it. And I went through that as a kid. And sometimes I'll listen to some of these songs, and you know, everybody thinks of Jeremy, the song by Pearl Jam about the school shooter. But they have so many songs that can be very emotional and just kind of cause you to, you know, think about life, and I think that's a good thing. You know, I know everybody. You know, I guess some people want every rock band to, you know, just be talking about drinking beer and getting high and girls. But I think it's cool that there's these rock bands that, not that they're progressive rock, but like bands like Pearl Jam and Nirvana. You would listen to their songs, and then if you actually dived into the lyrics and were like, you know, what's that about? You would find out like, holy crap, that's a deep song. But yeah, like on here, the first song is "Go," which was basically nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Rock Performance. Pretty good way to start an album off. And then it goes into "Animal." So the first two songs are just total like, hey, we're a rock band, we're gonna fucking knock your socks off. And then it goes into Daughter, which I love, and then Glorified G, and then you got Dissident, WMA. That I mean, there's like 12 really good songs on here. There's probably one that, you know, I'm not gonna nitpick. I think this is either their best album or their second best, depending on what day you catch me. But usually I would put this at the top. And then if you have a special deluxe version of this, you might get 3 extra songs. One of them is called Crazy May. Most copies of this do not have that though. But just wanted to show this off. Pearl Jam is definitely one of these bands that I think when I was younger, I just sort of, I mean, I respected them, but they weren't on like my playlist. They weren't a band that I had to see. And now that I've gotten older and I see how not only that they've stayed together, kind of like my Metallica, it's amazing like how long some of these bands are able to make it work like a marriage, and 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 it really, the people that are rewarded are their fans, because not only do you have all these albums like the Avocado album, Backspacer, Yield, No Code, Vitology, Versus 10, but you also have live albums. Pearl Jam has countless live albums. I mean, I'm always showing bootlegs, but with Pearl Jam, you can actually get live vinyls that are approved by the band, and that's just so cool. And I've heard they're really good live. I unfortunately have not seen Pearl Jam live, but you know, the way that they're going, I still have the opportunity to do that. So anyways, just wanted to show this off, and hope everybody's doing well. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and talk to you later.